Hey everybody, Al here, and welcome to another episode of Al's Vintage Toy Trains. And tonight I wanted to show a Lionel set from each year of the 1940s post-war era. So that means 1945 through 1949. And I'll go ahead and start right away with the first set. And the first set is Lionel's Outfit 463W, and it consists of the 224 and a 2466 double W whistling tender. And the 224 this particular year is unique in that it was a carryover from the pre-war era, but they did a couple of changes. So they actually blackened the handrails, so you'll note that the handrails on the engine as well as the tender are black. And the other unique thing to this 1945 era 224 is the fact that the tender does not have a drawbar. So the drawbar from the engine actually hooks right into an oval stamp within the frame of the tender. So this is kind of unique to 1945 only. As you know, World War II came to a close in 1945, and Lionel scrambled to get this one set out in time for Christmas of 1945. So the engine is a carryover from the pre-war era to make this happen. Also new in 1945 was Lionel's introduction to the knuckle coupler as we know it today. They did have a scale coupler with the scale Hudson back in the later 30s and into 41. However, those are a little bit different than what you see here on these post-war Lionel all the way through modern era. So something unique to 1945. Also with the set is the automobile boxcar. It's a double-door boxcar. It has a gondola, and unique to 1945 were the small split barrels, and I believe only 1945. By 1946 all the barrels that came with these sets were just solid barrels, so they didn't open up like these. This happens to be a reproduction set of barrels. They look just like the originals, but just obviously not original. And then we had the single dome Sunoco car, the tanker car, followed by a tin plate caboose. And it wasn't cataloged as being illuminated, but Lionel ended up producing them as illuminated in this set. So there you have outfit number 463W from 1945. And that represents the first post-war train set that Lionel made. Next, we'll go into 1946, and what I have for a set to represent this year is outfit number 1407B. This is a switcher engine, engine number 1665, and it is coupled to a bell ringer tender, and this is tender number 2403B. So there is a switch on the tender where you can actually turn the bell off or turn it on. I'm sure it drove a lot of parents crazy with the ringing bell. And in post-war era, all these switchers were four-wheel switchers, whereas in the pre-war era, the semi-scale or scale switchers were six-wheel and six-wheel B6 engines. And post-war, they were all four-wheel. I think there were a couple of four-wheel pre-war ones, but again, everything in post-war era was a four-wheel. Tender actually comes with a backup light. The tender is metal. It has a separate coal pile, so that is actually screwed in, and so it's a separate coal pile from the metal tender shell. All right, so we've got the gondola, kind of a common car for the early post-war era. And this is kind of a carryover from the pre-war era, the crane car, the tin plate crane car anyway. And this is unique to this 1946 set, along with the work caboose 2419. All right, so there we have 1946 represented by outfit 1407B. All right, next we'll go to 1947. And here I have outfit number 1437WS, the WS standing for Whistle and Smoke for the set. And here we have the 2025, the first year. And what's unique about the first year, 2025, is the aluminum smokestack that most of these had. This is coupled with the 2466WX tender. And we have a nice bright orange Baby Ruth boxcar, a common double dome Sunoco tank car, got a gondola with the solid barrels, and then a non-illuminated caboose. This is number 2257. And there we have 1947 represented by outfit number 1437. No 27 set. All right, we'll move on to 1948. This was a basket case set that I found in Maryland. Took a while for me to get this set back up and running and together. And what we have here is outfit number 2143WS. Again, the WS standing for whistle, meaning whistle tender, and S for smoke, because the engine smokes. So here we have the 671, and it's coupled to a 2671W tender. And what's unique about this 1948 set is this is the tender that came with the backup lights. So only a few of these sets came with the backup lights. Lionel quickly discarded the backup light. I guess they felt it didn't create enough play value for the cost. So that backup light was eliminated very quickly in 1948. Not sure of how many of these were made, but the engine, like I mentioned, was in pretty rough shape when I found it. It did clean up pretty good, but the back steps were broken off. I replaced those steps. It was missing a couple of the side rod screws, and just in general needed a lot of cleaning and maintenance, oil and lube, cleaning the motor, etc. And the same thing for the tender. As most 1940s tenders, you need to replace the wiring underneath that connects to the pickup rollers, because the insulation gets brittle, it cracks, and then shorts at the frame of the tender. So as with most tenders from this era, I always replace those with a flexible 22 gauge type wire. All right, so we've got next the transformer car 2461. When I pulled this one apart, it was quite interesting. I needed to replace the insulators that were broken, so that was kind of a challenge to be able to separate the two halves of the transformer in order to install the new insulators. But what was unique and what I found out about this transformer is that one half was a red plastic, which you can see some of the red kind of showing through the black on the back half. But the front half was a clear plastic painted black. So kind of unique. Prior to this, Lionel made the red transformer, so it was probably a carryover from the red to the black. Next is the coal dump car. This is the green variation. There are two other common variations. I shouldn't say common, but the aluminum is the uncommon variation, the aluminum unpainted with blue lettering. This is more common, the green that you see here, and then they also made a black version of the dump car. Again, needed rewiring. And we've got the crane car. This is the six-wheel truck crane car 2460. When I got this, it had a broken boom, so I had to replace the boom and rewire it as far as the rope for the hook. And then lastly, we have the 2420 working caboose that is illuminated. So it's a higher end work caboose than the set that I showed you from the 1946 set. All right, so there you have 1948 represented by the 2143 WS set. And then lastly, for 1949, I have outfit number 2140 WS. So this is a passenger set. It was made 2 years. It was made in 48 and 49, but this one happens to be a 1949 set. This has the 671 with no rims, where previous to that there were black rims and then nickel rims on the drivers of the engine. So I'm using this to represent 1949. One of my favorite sets with the first generation of the 2400 series passenger cars. And each of the passenger cars are named after a city in New Jersey. And these cities aren't too far from the New Jersey plant that Lionel had. So we've got the Maplewood, we have the Chatham, and then the observation car. I'm sorry, not the observation car is the Hillside. So there we have 1940 represented, 1949, excuse me. And there you have it. So I've got a set representing each of the 1940s post-war era sets. And I hope you enjoyed. And this is Al, and thank you for watching.